Good morning, everybody. Let's get straight into it. Oh my gosh, that was a little fast. So yes, my name is G. That's it. My parents were minimalists. They Marie Kondoed the rest of my name out when I was born. And I'm from this little country called New Zealand. It's a real place. And have you seen this before? You know of the haka from New Zealand? From what I'm seeing at the moment, it's Sunday morning. I want you guys to come up. We're going to do an ancient battle breathing exercise to get you guys up. Let's stand up. All right, here we go. What we're going to do now is you're going to start with your arms up like this. You're going to breathe a big breath in through your nose and into your belly. That's where the power is, okay? Arms up. Okay, we're going to do a practice round. You're going to breathe in 3 times. You're going to go, and then, oh, that was beautiful. Okay, so keep your arms there. You're going to do that 3 times, and then you're going to clap 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Very good. And then we're going to go, hoo-wah. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Hoo-wah. Okay, very good. Arms up. We're going to do it together. 3, 2, 1. Clap. Hoo-wah. Very good. Have a seat. That was beautiful, guys. Very nice. You're awake now. Okay, let's get into it. I have 15 minutes. We're going to make it super short and sweet, and there's a lot to get through. So I'm going to start from the very, very top. We are all here in ASEAN, and there's a vision that we all probably don't know. Let's be absolutely honest. Just like what Jojo mentioned before, a lot of people don't remember some of their vision statements. And what you need to take away from the ASEAN vision is that what we're all going for ultimately is about economic prosperity and peace. Would you agree? Yes, that's what we're all trying to go for. Unfortunately, we're at a time of the world where the ship is really shaky at the moment. Lots of things happening internationally, a lot of infighting. And that means we are on the boat. We have no choice but to link up, because if we're not going to be close, we're going to fall off the ship. Right? So it's more important than ever for us to ensure that there's stability and peace in this area, in ASEAN and Japan. And what's interesting is that for the 3rd time in history, ASEAN as a region has overtaken China in terms of exports to the US. The last time that happened was in the early 1990s. Now, let's be honest, that was not all because of ASEAN. There were tariffs, there were all kinds of things in place. But it is an excellent opportunity for us to make sure that we don't swap back. What a great opportunity to take that opportunity with partners like Plug and Play here now to make sure that that kind of thing doesn't happen, right? So we're in a great position. Let's keep that position. So there are a lot of challenges in keeping that position and making sure that we can take advantage. And it's not just a tech problem. A lot of people come to this part of the world and unbanked and not a lot of digital services yet. But the reality is that it's not just a tech problem. There are over 100 ASEAN digital and trade platforms, tons of products. And honestly speaking, these tech companies are phenomenal. Really, really great. You look outside, Cambodia has a lot of really great ones to offer. And they're making things easier to use. And yet at the same time, we still have a lot of problems that prevail. So it's not just a tech problem. And it's not just a strategy problem. We have friends from all over ASEAN, from the ASEAN Secretariat. We've got consulting firms who are pumping out strategies and plans and pathways. So it's not that we don't have enough maps and we don't know where to go. And it's not just a skills problem either. So back in 2022, before the rise of ChatGPT, we did a research piece on Canva in Cambodia. And what we found, we interviewed like 63 agency owners, marketing directors, people who hire graphic designers. So we wanted to look at one particular skill set. And what we found was that over half of the market had already changed. So 26.3% of those respondents had said that there was a full replacement of graphic designers. They stopped hiring graphic designers because of Canva. 23.7% said they employ less graphic designers, and the remaining either no changes in employment or they'd never heard of it. Now, Canva, at the time, no office here, no ad spend, no presence, and had already changed the market in just a few years, right? So it's not just digital skills, the fact that tech was improving super fast, it was way too quick for what a lot of that policy was actually able to do. So ultimately what we found was that it's just a lot of people problems at the end of the day. This is ultimately what a lot of that came down to. We had a project, and I'll share a little story, where we had to digitize 1,000 MSMEs during the COVID pandemic. And after the program, and it was a success, we had 3,000 MSMEs signed up, a lot of them were trained, they went online. We called them 6 months later. 30% of them, we couldn't contact them again. Nobody picked up. Okay. Another 30% who picked up the phone, they said, we'd closed. The remainder all had actually an increase in sales, which was really good, right? But the problem was when we apply a little bit of empathy and we think, well, was that really that useful in the end of the day? Because some of these organizations that did increase their sales, they were the kind of people that were hustling anyway. And it really made us question how effective was our policy. Because some of the things that were happening in terms of feedback from consumers, they were saying, we would buy online, I would order like a black phone, but a blue phone turned up. So you could throw more digital on some of these problems, but it's not that you automate a process, you make it online and it's better. Sometimes it gives you a faster disaster, right? So ultimately, a lot of this was about people problems. So what can we do? Nothing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm kidding, obviously not. Just want to make sure you were still awake. So we have a people problem, you have to apply a people solution. So we're going to start by explaining empathy. This is the way that you get in touch and really understand your consumers. So we're just going to digress a little bit because it's really important to talk about. Firstly, empathy is not just about being nice, okay? You can be kind and nice without empathy, and that's being wasteful, even harmful. And as Jojo mentioned earlier, there is a lack of access to finance. So even if you want to do good and you throw money at some of these projects, if you're not empathetic enough, you're just wasting money at the end of the day. And that's not what anybody wants, right? But you can also be empathetic without being kind. And that's manipulation. So people might say, people like, I don't know, like Elon or Steve Jobs, they're like, oh, they're not empathetic. That's not true. They're highly empathetic. Because some of the most powerful people in the world, they know what you're feeling, they know what you're thinking, and they use that for their benefit. In this situation, that's empathy without kindness, and that's manipulation. Okay? So therefore, empathy is a skill to understand others to make better decisions. So we are less wasteful. In ASEAN, in this sort of region, and in Japan, we are a lot more conservative, actually, about how we do things. And that is a strength that we have. We don't always have to follow the footsteps of other places because those are different markets. Empathy tells us that we're not the same people. So of course, ASEAN, Japan, we will have our own way of doing things. And for us, it's definitely in a much more relational way. Right? In Asia, we really care about hospitality and we very much care about our guests. This is all across ASEAN and Japan. So the question then is, how do we apply empathy? And I'll just say that they're almost there. We're coming back to the tech. There are 3 levels. The first level is what everybody says, which is to put yourself in the shoes of others. That's like level 1 empathy. Level 2 is Brene Brown level. If you don't know her, go look her up. She's got great books. She says that to empathize with someone's experience, you must believe them as they see it and not how you imagine their experience to be, right? So if someone is doing your onboarding process, you know, in your business, and they tell you, hey, that was really frustrating, and you said, I did it, it wasn't frustrating for me, that's not empathy. You have to choose to believe what they say and get curious and say, what about that was frustrating so I can improve what it is that I'm doing? And now the last level, the top level, is to get so curious that you hear what they're not saying. So we look at Henry Ford, as he said, if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said, faster horses. We would not have cars if it wasn't for this man, right? And if you had followed just hearing what people were saying and that's all they were. If you can get to this level of empathy, you are creating exceptional leaders, exceptional products, and exceptional experiences. This is how you do it. So, in our feasibility study, we did level 1, level 2, we asked startup founders, we ask MSMEs, what are your problems? And the biggest thing they always say is access to funding, always. Much more conservative in these markets. But level 3 empathy tells us that actually what they're not saying and what investors are not saying is that it's about trust. And if we're not honest with ourselves, it's not useful. We are starting our strategy from the wrong place. So we have to be honest here. There is ASEAN, Japan, and actually all these regions are in very different places, right? So when we asked some of these VCs and investors, they said, honestly, we're not so sure about the emerging markets in ASEAN, for example. Even the rapidly developing ones, the ones in the middle, they're huge, very wide. Some places don't even have internet, let alone unbanked, right? So how can we trust ourselves to be in these markets? So that meant, well, what does our faster car look like? We cannot just tell our policymakers, just give more money. What should we do with this? So this is what our faster car looked like. ASEAN Startup Connect logo. So we were thinking, well, we need to know where we go. So we developed some matrices for that. We need guides to tell us how to use it. We need to bring passengers along with us on the ride. There is us, the driver. We need to know what is happening in the future, the headlights, and the engine. So look, all business problems are people problems. You talk to the most experienced people and they'll tell you that. So that means mentorship, guidance, referrals, network connection. That really is what drives business in order for people to connect. So this is the platform. Later I'll give you the QR code so you can scan and take a look. So what's on the platform now I'm showing you what was on the car, is that we've developed right now digitalization playbooks for MSMEs. So there's guidance, there's 5 phases of digitalization, 3 functions from sales and marketing, operations, and strategy, and a lot of resources there. So this is already live. And in ASEAN, we actually have many different terms, and the way that we operate in digitalization is actually quite fragmented. Japan has different terms, Vietnam has different terms. How do you connect if you don't actually speak the same language? So what we've done was I've actually already put this up as a resource there. So each country will have it in their own language. Has it in their own language. Now, of course, AI, we have trained an agent which is now live, and it's currently hosted on ChatGPT because that's what everybody has been using. They already understand the interface. And it's been trained with a digitalization matrix and with empathy. So if you're feeling frustrated and you're like scared and you're shy, that's okay. This has actually been trained to coach you through digitalization. We have also already launched the mentorship program, and we have founders from Brunei, Malaysia, Singapore, Cambodia, and Thailand. And we're doing it in what we call a 2-phase mentorship with horizontal mentorship first. So you get a little bit of clarity before you speak to the mentors. Okay, so this is already happening, and the feedback has been really good. And there's also a virtual accelerator for skills building. So this is to future-proof the business. So in our realm, sustainability isn't just about the environment or social sustainability, about people. It's about making sure the business can continue for another 10, 15, 20, 100 years, right? So this course is already live as well on the platform. And what's coming up next is a cross-border playbook. Unlike the US, which is monolingual, bicultural, let's be honest, ASEAN is significantly more languages, more cultures, more barriers and regulation, whereas in the US you can jump from one state, one city to the other much easier, right? So what we've developed there is a cross-border matrix for Indonesian startup who wants to go to Japan and vice versa. And the difference here, again, this is where empathy comes in. The Indonesian one going to Japan will be in a different context to the Vietnam one trying to go to Japan. They'll get different answers because the culture is different. So of course we need different resources. So this is coming up live Q1, Q2 next year. And of course the matchmaking service as well. What I want to leave you guys here with today is one quote from the great Naval Ravikant. He says that great people have great outcomes. It's just a matter of time. Now, great outcomes is completely subjective. So the question is, what makes a great person? Well, a great person has great skills, courage, empathy, purpose, focus, health, a support network, and most importantly, they make great choices. And I want to share this grainy photo from a week ago because I've just come back from Cambodia after a long time, and I am like super surprised at how well this event and these events have been organized. I speak at Innovation Week in Prague and Warsaw. I'm everywhere in the world. And honestly, when I was last living here in Cambodia, this was not how events were run. Clearly, there is a trajectory upwards. And I wanted to say that His Excellency Mok Radi, wherever you are, he had an inspirational speech. He's over there, guys. Inspirational speech to our team. And he said that, look, we have a choice to make. And it stuck with me. I was like, I have to put that in my speech on Sunday. We have a choice to make. You can choose to keep things the way they are, or you can choose greater, better things. And since I've started working with the MPTC team, it's given me great faith in Cambodia. It has been incredible to see that Cambodia is now rising and operating at an international level. And I have to say, I'm really, really surprised. So can we just give a big round of applause to the organizing team, to MPTC, to the CADT team, and of course, to the volunteers here, because ASEAN has come together today, and you've really showed up, and you've really shown them what Cambodia is truly capable of. So, good job. I'm almost there. So, coming right back to the start, it is therefore our choice to choose prosperity and peace in ASEAN and Japan, and therefore we have to choose to connect, because that's where the problems get solved. And to choose to do that, we need to choose empathy to be able to put ourselves in the shoes of others. And I can tell you here that Khmer people are some of the friendliest people I have ever met. So later, when you're walking around and talking to our delegates, feel free to speak to them, because when they're here, they're really here. And they welcome you, they really welcome you. So to our ASEAN delegates who have come today, welcome to Cambodia. And we wish you a wonderful summit with us. And of course, to the summit, I know I talked about all these other things. Back to our product, what we're launching today is the Connect platform. So that's the QR code. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to me all this time. I wish you a great conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. G. Thank you for great presentation, and of course, the great workout session for the morning. Just what we need on top of the caffeine.